the reason, I don't know how many of you saw, there is a marble plaque at the entrance which says Clive came here in 1752. It's still there. So on the entrance way would have been what is called a Nakar Khana. Nakar Khana is where drum beaters will be, Nagara adikira. Drum beaters will be seated on the first floor and they will announce whenever important visitors are coming and leaving, and then they would have come inside. There would have been a large courtyard, there would have been an old house which obviously has got demolished over a period of time because this is not very old. This is dating only to the time of Mr. Arthur Lolly or Arthur Pope or somebody like that, one of the governors of Madras. So this is much later, this structure. See, we are talking about 1752, which is that part which is at the So Clive has a very important role to play in Kochi. What happens is that the Nawabs of Arcot, by the 1700s, they have become very dependent on two colonial powers. The French in Pondicherry, the British in Madras and Cuddalore. These are the two locations. And when Nawab Muhammad Ali Walaja died, not Muhammad Ali Walaja, sorry, when the previous Nawab died, the claimants are two. One is a man called Chanda Sahib, the other one is called Muhammad Ali. Chanda Sahib is supported by the French, Muhammad Ali is supported by the British. And there is what is known as the Arcot War of Succession. Chanda Sahib is clearly the more powerful of the two, and he has, what happens essentially is that he is sitting in Tiruchirappalli and he has to be evicted from here. And the British are laying siege to Tiruchirappalli at that point of time. The French are supporting Chanda Sahib, who is inside the rock fort. At this point of time, Clive is a lowly clerk in the East India Company. Clive has come to India on a salary of £5 a year, and he's a clerk, he's a writer in the East India Company. He's also a mental illness. Today we recognize it as a classic case of mental illness. He was a manic depressive. So when he arrives, he loads the revolver, presses it to his temple, and nothing happens. And then he presses it outside the window and all the bullets go. Then he realizes God has sent me here for some purpose. So this is his beginning. And then he is reading books. He is depressed whenever there is no war. If there is war, he is a very happy man. So finally, when these Tiruchirappalli wars are happening and the British have laid siege, it's a very desperate situation. The British have to win. Clive is the person who comes up with the idea, saying that the capital is Arcot, which is not Trichy. Let us send a diversion of troops to Arcot and lay siege to Arcot. When that happens, the Nawab will lose his nerve over here and he will immediately send a detachment of his forces to Arcot. So what happens if they lay siege to Arcot? He says, don't worry, we will take care. So Clive goes and lays siege to Arcot, and he holds up inside Arcot. And the French and the Nawab, they lose their nerve, and exactly as he predicted, they manage to, they send a detachment of their forces there. Clive does not give up, he holds on, hunkers down and holds on. Over here in the meantime, the British storm Tiruchirappalli, they enter it. And thereafter they go and relieve Clive from Arcot. So once that happens, Clive is the hero. So he is brought here, the records say that he was brought on the soldiers, carried like that and brought over here in great ceremony to this place, and he lived over here briefly. Enormous amount of looting after that, because the Nawab Muhammad Ali Walaja becomes the Nawab, courtesy the British. And after that there is enormous amount of looting and Clive makes a lot of money. He goes back, he gets married in Madras to his best friend's sister. So her portrait he has been seeing every day in his best friend's room. Edward Maskelyne, his sister Margaret. Margaret comes down from London. They get married in the Church of St. Mary's in Fort St. George. Then Clive lives in Admiralty House, or what is called Great House on Charles Street in Fort St. George. Then he goes back to London. Now when he goes back to London, the British here realize that Bengal is a more fertile land with far more. So they invite Clive to come back again. So he comes in the 1770s, sheer treachery, in 1750s he comes back. By sheer treachery, he defeats Siraj-ud-Dowla in the Battle of Plassey by siding with Mir Jafar and cheating and all that, and then goes back to England once again, a very rich man. When he goes back, he faces a commission of inquiry for corruption, and he says, I was amazed at my own moderation. I could have looted much more, but I didn't do it. I was so honest. So the Parliament says, no problem, you have done a very good job, you have brought us the British Empire. They make him Lord Clive. and he then builds an enormous estate for himself and finally successfully commits suicide. That's the end of Clive's story. So Clive commits, great Clive, he could not handle success. He could only handle challenges.
So he left the God here.
And so this is known as Clive's Hostel ever since then, because this was the location to which he was brought. Now behind this we have what is called the Christ Church. So we will go there, which is our last location. So why does it become Clive's Hostel? When St. Joseph's College is created, it becomes a hostel for the students, so it becomes Clive's Hostel thereafter. And 2 generations of my family, my grandfather stayed in Clive's Hostel. My father didn't stay here, but he studied in St. Joseph's. So we have a lot of affection towards this building.